I'm Not Your Lawyer Show, brought to you by the Church of Blurk. It's immutable, undeniable. It's the truth. What's up, everybody? I'm Jason. How's it going? It's Friday night. We're we've got a few things to talk about. Factom. It's Factom, right? I mean, it's what it is. I mean, it's a flavor of Factom, or is it Wayne Chain? Because I thought it was Wayne Chain. I thought Wayne Chain was the joke about Factom, right? Time travel was possible on the Wayne Chain, and then it became Chain Point, and now that it's about to ICO, it's got a new name, and that new name is Tyrion. No, I'm not going to turn off the music. 270-232. The music is part of the show. It's a Friday night. It's what we do. It's a Tyrion Friday. Get your questions in. You want to call in? You can call in. I'll give you my Skype ID. No dick pics, please. That's right. This is an adult show, but not that adult. Who wants in? Who's a Tyrion believer? I know who is. Wayne. Wayne is. He refused to come on the show. Why don't you try going to HTML5? Okay. Oh, Tyrion has not always been their name, has it? When it was Factom, was it Tyrion? And before that, I think it was called Chain Point, not Tyrion, right? I mean, I could be wrong. That's fine. I could be wrong. The point is, Wayne Chain was the joke. Do you guys remember that? Even the dog knows it's a joke. The oh man, I don't even know where to start in this. I mean, we could talk about get my facts straight. Fuck off. Back on the air. There we go. So, how long has it been Tyrion? You tell me. 270-232. You troll. You. How about you get an actual name? Why don't you register? You could register, couldn't you? I'll troll you right back. What is it? When did it become Tyrion? I want to know. We're all waiting. 270-232. I know, you're typing, you're clicking, you're hitting the Googles. It's always. Okay. There it is. Thank you, Heisencoin. Let's look up Chain Point. I love how Chain Point refers to Tyrion. See, the site's by Tyrion, but the project was Wayne Chain. So when did Wayne Chain become... That's what I'm curious about. When did Wayne Chain become Chain Point? Open timestamps. Chain Point is just the name of their open standard proof format. Right. Yes, but wasn't it Wayne chain before? So here's the monumental mistake, if I may. If you're trying to do this like any other ICO and getting on the fuck you regulator bandwagon. If you're trying to avoid regulation and liability for something, you should think about what Satoshi Nakamoto did, which is to stay completely and totally anonymous and not be a company, right? We saw Tezos do this, right? The Tezos Foundation is actually acquiring the software from the Brightmans. This is a paper trail, isn't it? Right? I mean, so if it's Wayne Chain by Tyrion, or if it's Chainpoint by Tyrion, and Tyrion is selling the token for Chainpoint, right? That's kind of like Windows by Microsoft, right? So what exactly is that token going to get you? Have you thought about that? I mean, I want to ask Wayne. I asked him to come on the show. Maybe he'll come on the show another time. Yeah, I'm eating. It's pimento loaf pasta. Tip of the hat. Mr. Grandmother wants to know if Tyrion is ICOing because Peter Todd released open timestamps. Maybe. I don't know. There are some competitors, aren't there, that are trying to get in the space. I mean, staying on topic, Wayne Chain and Wayne Vaughn were always legitimate to me in the space because it was part of the joke. It's part of the joke. Now, guest 270745 says, token is a reward given to nodes on the Tyrion network. It's required for submitting data for stamping. Except Tyrion's doing what I suggested Ethereum did, which is to just offer it open for a monthly subscriber contract. You don't actually need fuel or gas for it to work, right? And in fact, the token sale says that they're issuing the tokens in order to incentivize the ecosystem. It doesn't say anything about for it to work, right? Let's take a look. Ah, yes, the Ethereum token. Sorry, did I say the Ethereum token? The Tyrion token. 35% sold in the token sale, 35% for distribution to incentivize the ecosystem, 29% retained by Tyrion, and 1% to cover the token sale. Yeah. So in their own terms, they say you do not need the token or even any type of token for their software to work on a cost basis because they're following the software as a service platform, which I like, right? That's what Ethereum should have done. But instead now they have these two separate things. They got this token sale and they have their network that runs, which is great. But that means the token is now basically a fundraising device in order to incentivize the network. Bitcoin Aerolog says 250,000 to run the sale. Yeesh, even the dogs can't believe it. What are you guys barking at? Clover. It's Clover the Doge dog. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come on up. Yeah, that's right. Even Clover the Doge dog knows it's horse shit. There you go. So I thought all of these advisors, right? The Tyrion advisors. Who are they again? All right. Blockchain Capital, that's your Brock connection. And Cooley, that's your Marco connection. I thought these guys were smart enough to know not to openly violate U.S. securities laws. But that's what they're doing. So later on tonight, I'm actually going to be appearing on the Junseth show. I think Dante's got a hit contract out on me, which would be fun. We might try to get Junseth on so I can find out if Dante's got a contract out on me or not. I may want to find out what he thinks about the Wayne chain. Maybe we should get him on the Junseth cam, on the Junseth line. Let's see if he's available. Dialing him up now.
Hello.
Hey, you are live and on the air. Is this Junseth?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. Junseth, this is Jason with the I'm Not Your Lawyer show. How are you this evening?
Hey, Jason. Great to hear you.
Great. Thanks for coming on at random. Hey, we've got some folks in the forum and we're talking about the Wayne chain.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What? Oh my God, that's a great place to start. Is that the only place you're going to stop, or do you want to
Oh
elaborate?
my God.
So
I mean,
what Wayne chain is just Factom 2.0, right?
Yeah. I mean, it is just Factom, as far as I can understand. Yeah. There's no difference here.
Okay, now, you've been around this stuff a lot longer than I have, and so I go to you as you're my attorney, right? When did Factom first start?
Oh man, Factom started, I don't know, what was it, 2013, 2014, and 2014 TNABC, I think, is when I first saw them start coming out. Was it 2013? 2015?
Now,
we saw like Paul Snow at TNABC in like a weird vest.
Okay, well
like, some time ago.
A vest and a bow tie, right? Right.
No, he didn't have a bow tie. He had a goddamn like fucking vest. And at the time we were like, what the fuck? And that was a night. You know what? That was a night that I hit on Lisa Chang.
Oh.
Because I'm into Asian girls.
Yeah.
So Sean introduced me. She was hanging out with the Florida governor's daughter, and Sean introduced me, and Sean did his thing, and he said he said, do you know this man? And she said no, and he looked at her and he said, you will.
Oh wow. That's pretty awesome, yeah. Actually. So
I got a little pressure. I got rejected by Lisa Chang though. That's not real. That's low of me.
Yeah. So I recall meeting Paul Snow at where was it? The Texas Bitcoin conference in Austin in 2015, and he was riding around on a unicycle in a bow tie through Austin.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if he was wearing pants, but he was.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, what's weird to me is I have to read the Tyrion white paper, but it seems to me that like he's added an inordinate amount of complexity in order to justify the token and give it a use. I don't know that actually justifies use because it was operating perfectly fine without the token. I think the only reason for the token sale, thus is to make money.
Well, I think so too. I mean, the thing is,
it wasn't for functional purposes.
Well, right, and one of the things that I noticed, I don't know if you saw this or not, is that they're actually saying in their documentation that they do not need the token as part of their system, that it runs completely without it, and on top of that, unlike Ethereum, to get their network to work, they're actually just doing more of a software as a service thing and doing monthly subscriptions. So they've done that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what they've done is they've separated off their token from their functionality, and so the only reason, and here's me agreeing with you, for the token to exist is to raise money. And,
right. And, I'm honestly of this opinion. When the fuck did people start needing timestamps? Gives a company a $25 million valuation, and in a world there can't be that many companies. These are cheap timestamps, cheap to perform.
You and I talked about this at TNABC, actually, and that's in bills of lading and in shipping. That matters.
I doubt that has any blockchain purposes though.
Well, yeah, because they're already doing it in databases, right?
Yeah. Or there's probably not a lot of inefficiency there.
So you've known Wayne for a while. So back in 2015, was he working for the, can I call it the Factom?
Wayne has said he worked for Factom, and I assume Factom's confirmed it. I'm pretty sure that he did work for Factom.
Okay.
He was a contractor of some sort.
All right. So he open sourced Factom code, took the code, and then started, publicly talking about Wayne Chain as a joke, making fun of all these blockchain 2.0 projects, right?
You can go back, and I think it's pretty clear that Wayne claims that he left Factom because he was uncomfortable with the ICO.
Wait a minute. So Wayne left Factom because he didn't want an ICO.
Well, he wasn't comfortable with their token sale. That was the claim.
Yeah. Well.
Mm-hmm.
Time changes, right?
Well, as Wayne says, blockchain ain't what it used to be. So, I mean, maybe he's right.
I agree with that.
Honestly, I don't have a whole lot of judgment about it. I get it. You can ICO. No, everyone can ICO. It's probably the right business move nowadays. If you're a Bitcoin company and you're not able to make money.
Here's the thing that I wanted to ask you. What I was getting into this timeline deal, right? What has Factom done?
Factom has made a lot of press releases about deals they've made.
But I haven't actually seen them do anything.
I don't think that they've accomplished much. I think it's pretty open to the fact that I believe that a majority of their hashes, a majority of those things that they're Merkleizing,
right,
or preserving their timestamping, is stuff that they're doing internally.
Okay, so
like the Gutenberg project, I think, which they started doing years ago, but that's just all they're doing is timestamping it, which doesn't do anything. There's no preservation of data in the timestamps.
What's crazy to me, I can't quite wrap my head around this, is there's a company that's been trying to do this for almost 3 years, that says they've done it, that did a token sale on it, that I've seen Paul give congressional testimony about it, but I haven't actually seen his company do anything.
Well, they're pivoting more to blockchain consulting, I think. My guess is that Factom will probably get away from their project. They'll probably turn over the scam to the community. That's what they do. That's the beauty of tokenizing and basically open sourcing and essentially this sort of node structure. I haven't looked at Wayne's white paper, but if you're turning it over to a node type structure, that is essentially turning this project over to the community in full.
Yeah, after you take $25 million in money. Now,
Correct. So you no longer need to run it. It now runs itself, which I think is exactly what Factom is going to do. They're going to say, we've taken it all it can go. We're going to go into blockchain consulting and help people build products for Factom. We are handing over the blockchain, the Factom blockchain, to the community. It is now in your hands. Go. We're going to make our money from blockchain consulting. Right. And I'm looking here in the chat. Someone said it's a lot like guard time. You're right. It is a lot like guard time. Guard time's been around for a really long time. When people started talking about this with blockchains, in fact, I think guard time put a claim on their site that they've been using blockchain since 2007, which is hilarious because they have in this modern definition of blockchain.
Well, a modern definition of blockchain, according to Tierion Boring, was ACH, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, like Jason, I want to say, like, I don't have a big problem with these ICOs. When all of the companies are doing it, that is like, I don't know what you can do if your competitors are all doing it. What's weird to me is that I have yet to see an ICO that has a legitimate idea behind it. So like that's where it becomes really difficult for any justification of this, because honestly, I think crowd sales are really stupid. But they exist. They're legal. I don't see that ICOs are that much different. The difference is that in crowd sales, like some of these ideas actually have a semblance of a chance.
Well, in this instance, though, there is a difference, I think, in that in a crowd sale, you're supposed to be doing crowdfunding, which is a very small amount of money from an incredibly large amount of people, right?
Right. Small amounts from unqualified investors.
Small amounts, and the idea there, from a regulatory standpoint, is that it's not enough that if they lost the money, that it would end them somehow, right?
Well, and they got a pen, they got a pen in exchange.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it comes from really the stock market crash, in that back then you had everybody trying to supplement their normal working job by trying to get into the stock market because everybody was in it, and so they were getting people injecting their life savings, which, today would be the equivalent of like $10,000. And then all of a sudden it was gone, right? And people were crushed because that's all they had. And so the regulators stepped in and said, all right, no, you're not allowed to sell this kind of stuff without any kind of oversight. You have to give them disclosure. You can't sell these things to people, etc. So when crowd sales came out, back with Kickstarter and those types of projects, you were looking at like $10,000 max is what these folks were looking for, right? Because they wanted to make a CD, right? They were going to make their band was going to make a CD, and they needed $10,000 for recording, and by giving them $5,
okay, can I point out too, Jason, that
you got a free CD.
A lot of times in crowd sales, the thing that makes a crowd sale successful is that the people who are crowd selling identify themselves as competent in the subject area. That tends to be, and when I see like a good crowd sale, we want to make a game. We've made this game before. We would like to crowd sale this. We're a band. We've made this music. If you like our music, then like help us fund it. Right. But in the ICOs, it's literally just like people are funding ideas.
It's vaporware. Yeah.
And they're not asking any question other than will it pamp?
Well, pamping is important.
Well, they don't give a fuck whether it's actually a good idea. So like, in the case of Tyrion, I think it's pretty clear. I don't know who the users are, but I think that there's some claims that Tyrion has some enterprise level users. But I don't know what their arrangements are, because like they're still doing very, you can have enterprise level users. It doesn't mean that people are paying $10 million a month. Well, they could all be paying $45 a month.
I heard a claim, whether it be from Wayne or one of his Tyrion folks, that they have a connection to Microsoft.
Oh, they claim that they're on the Views thing, whatever it is, the Microsoft thing that Factom's on. Actually, Factom has the same claim.
So it's still Factom. Got it.
Yeah, well, that's right. What's it called? Microsoft. Fuck.
Azure? Is it on
Azure.
Yeah.
The Microsoft Azure platform.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so there's been some distinction in the forum. They're talking about, whether there's a product or not a product. In crowd sales, investors are usually buying a product. That's right. You're buying a CD or something like that. One thing for folks that get this Tierion token to remember is that when you're participating in this initial coin offering or initial token offering, you're not getting anything. You're just getting a token that can be traded on the market for value. That's it. This isn't gas. This isn't fuel. This isn't an exchange for fuel later. This is a straight monetary value. And I think that's where they kind of fucked up here. And so maybe between now and the 17th, Wayne will watch this, or somebody will get back to him, and he'll go and he'll talk to Marco and say, what have you done? Right? We're selling a security, right? You're 100% the taking of money under the management and control of others with the expectation of a profit. 100%. It's a goddamn security. Because you can't say it's a software license.
That's the same thing that like Goldline got fucked up with, right?
You can't say it's a software license. At least Ethereum created a fiction or a lie that it was a pre-sold software license.
Right. No, this is just full on security, and it is what it is. Like, I don't know. I gotta hand it to Wayne. Like, no one's gone to jail yet, so like maybe this is fucking legal. I don't know. Well, but I can tell you that it shouldn't be, and it baffles me.
Well, it baffles me too, because I continue to advise and will continue to advise people that just because there's a lack of regulation in the area doesn't mean that it's not regulated. What it means is the regulators taking their time.
Yeah.
Now, to that end, I've talked about game theory before. About the benefits of.
I will say, Jason, this is a question for you. It seems like it's harder to like back regulate. So like if there is in fact this like agreement that this area is not regulated, I would be surprised if they come back.
I don't think there's any agreement that it's not regulated. I think that's what Marco would say, or that someone else would say, is that it's perfectly legal because they haven't done anything, and that's like saying beating somebody with a baseball bat in the middle of the street is perfectly legal because the cops haven't stopped us yet.
Right. Well, it is in Chicago.
Yeah, and so that being said, I've talked about begging for forgiveness versus asking for permission, and I really think the blockchain space is kind of in that. I'm going to beg for forgiveness later because there's millions of dollars to be made today.
Right. Bitcoin Airlog. If ICO should be legal, why haven't video games pre-sold their in-game currency to fund development? I don't fucking know. That's a really good question, and it's probably because then it's a security.
Yeah. Well, I've often thought that World of Warcraft gold is just as valuable as Pepe Cash.
Well, it is surprising, and I have to go in a second here, Jason. But it is you would think that like maybe World of Warcraft would raise funds by like making you buy their game with gold,
right?
But they don't,
or their coin,
right?
If they were under the Bitcoin ICO rubric, which maybe they will be. Maybe this is the revolutionary new way to do this.
Right.
I don't know.
We will see. I think that's a good question, Bitcoin Airlog. I don't think that this is this entire ICO thing to me seems very analogous to penny stocks, and all sorts of other like sort of simple securities that we've seen before. This isn't. Here's the thing. I've been seeing people say that this is a commodity, and therefore it's going to be regulated by the CFTC. I think it's important to note that just because Bitcoin is clearly a commodity, it doesn't mean that the things that are on top of Bitcoin or Ethereum are in fact also commodities. You could run a security on top of Bitcoin.
That's right.
And I don't understand why it is that people think that just because it's Bitcoin related or because we call it a cryptocurrency that it's a CFTC regulated industry, because in fact these are securities. So while the CFTC probably is the regulator of Bitcoin, that does not mean that the SEC is not the regulator of ICOs. And I think that's
right.
an important distinction.
And I tried to make that distinction to Judge Mazant, in that we have plenty of regulation in this area. And under the type of transaction that Shavers was doing, which was Bitcoin related, right? More Bitcoin related than anything anybody's doing today. That's absolutely regulated by the CFTC and not the SEC.
And the SEC shouldn't have had jurisdiction to like even bring suit there. That's just the case.
That's right. However, these types of transactions, where you're talking about initial funding to raise money for an entity, it's absolutely in the SEC's jurisdiction.
Correct.
It's 100% within their jurisdiction. And so, I think there's several cases that talk about how, the agency shall have and be given the flexibility and the variance to be able to bring cases and actions to widely interpret the statute to protect the public.
People need to understand, I think, the CFTC was essentially brought about in order to regulate Chicago's Board of Trade. Very simply, because they realize that these commodities, what a commodity is a distinction much like religion that needed to be fought for, and in fact there is a weird blurry line, and a commodity isn't any different than cash, other than like there's more volatility, and they have a few other like regulations.
Right. So in this circumstance, because the token's not being mined, because there's no effort going into creating it, because it's not.
It's a central entity that's issuing it.
Right. You're not talking about a potential commodity type deal, which you could be when you're mining a coin.
These ain't potatoes.
No, they're not oranges, right? And so the point being, commodity or security. I think if we separate that out, saying a token sale is more a security than a coin sale is, because at least a coin sale derives from some form of commodity-like activity. But I don't know. We're down in the weeds. The whole point is
let me go
Wayne
here, Jason.
Chain was supposed to promote time travel. Did you or did you not ever travel in time?
No, Wayne Chain did a lot of time traveling. It went back and did a lot of, that's actually what really frustrates me is Tyrion does not do time traveling. It is a downgrade from Wayne Chain, and I think that needs to be discussed more.
All right. Well,
but I'm going to go, and we will talk later.
Yeah,
Dante does need to tell you off.
Well, I was telling the folks here that I was concerned that perhaps Dante had a contract out on me, a hit contract out. So I was going to, verify whether or not I needed to, with you, should I be in fear of my life.
Perfect. Well, it's going to happen, and you may or may not be alive tomorrow. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's not a threat.
All right. We'll talk to you later. All right.
Good night. Bye.
All right. That was Junseth. Understanding the history, deep knowledge and history of the Wayne Chain, travel in time on the Wayne Chain, and here we are now, unable to travel in time. Got a question from Bitcoin Errorlog. How hard is it to legally use counterparty to issue tokens that represent equity or profit shares in your company? So what you're talking about is how hard is it to legally use counterparty? What you're talking about is using that platform to issue effectively a digital asset that's representative of a share, so a stock. I don't think it's hard at all. I think all you need is half a counterparty, half an XCP, right, which costs what, $10 maybe, and about 15 minutes of time, and whatever transaction time that takes to load your counterparty wallet. How hard is it? It's not hard. Expensive? It's not expensive. It's $10 and takes 20 minutes. Now, if you're trying to do it in the form of like a Reg A plus Jobs Act offering, you really need to You know, you have audited financials. You have accountants you need to hire. You still have to put out a prospectus. You still have to do filings. You know, the whole point of doing the reg filing with the SEC is that that was supposed to absolve you of your duty and obligation to file all of those filings with every state. So, yeah, that's what I just said. Bitcoin Error Log is asking if I need to also register with the SEC. Yes, you have to register under Jobs Act. And in doing so, you don't have to register with all the states, which is a huge savings. But you still have to do it, and you still have to give background on all of the entities. Whereas the ICO, you just bypass all of that. It's like this big fuck you to the SEC, saying, great, we understand, Jobs Act is cool and all, great, thanks very much, but this is actually what we wanted it to be. We wanted Jobs Act to be free money for everybody with no obligations and no culpability, and we wanted free exchanges on the back end, and we basically wanted to create our own illegal equity and stock markets where we can fuck anybody over anytime we want, and you can't do anything about it, which is really SEC's commentary on denying the Winklevoss rule change. Was these are unregulated, manipulated markets, and until Bitcoin grows up and starts playing the game the way they're supposed to play the game, you're not going to have a Bitcoin ETF or anything like it on Wall Street. So, kind of an interesting place to end. I think Tyrion's just another offering in a long line of ICOs that are flying the finger in the face of the law, and eventually it's going to come down. It's either going to come down or a regulator is going to say, you know what, screw it, we give up, go on, you're just eating yourself, who cares? But what happens when you lose your money, right? What are you going to do? What are you going to claim? 10b-5 violation, SEC 10b-5, right? Fraud in connection with the sale of a security, you're going to bring those actions? Because you're being forced to sign a contract that says it's a contribution and it's not a security. But you don't care, right? Because you want it to pamp and pamp and pamp and pamp and pamp. It's a strange world. It's a strange world. Guest 270753 asks, what is the likelihood that the IRS will give up some of its power and classify crypto-to-crypto trades as exempted under the like-kind rule? I've explored like-kind transactions, and the IRS has stated very clearly that it's not like-kind when you're trading gold into silver. And if they won't allow gold to silver be a like-kind exchange, I doubt they're going to do it for crypto. All right. Bitcoin Error Log says, when you lose your money, you can just timestamp a lot of things with your Tierion tokens. That's pretty good. The node is doing its own Merkle tree. It multiples the ability of the network to handle hashes by like 1 million times, says guest 269578. I don't know how that matters. Mr. Grandmother asks, what are the potential consequences for the people working in Tyrion? Are any of them liable? Yes, absolutely. Yep. Oh yeah. Any other questions? I got about 2 more minutes I can spend, and then I think I'm gonna take my kids to see the fireworks tonight. It's the I'm Not Your Lawyer show. 12 days, 12 hours, 30 minutes, 22 seconds until the Tyrion sale starts. Mr. Grandmother asks, jail time? Oh yeah. Fines? Yep. One more question, guys. Oh, by the way, the pre-sale apparently starts on the 17th. But according to the Tyrion Telegram page, you got to have $50,000 to buy into the pre-sale. When does Cybert go to jail for giving bad legal advice? Never. One more question. Where did I learn to sail? My dad taught me to sail in the Pacific Ocean and on the Columbia River. All right, one more question, last question. Just because Bitcoin Errorlog asked, if they accept Bitcoin, they can't control which countries invest. I'd even begin to know you are covered legally. Well, that's a back-end, back-office issue, isn't it? It's called compliance, KYC, AML, all of the above. Something they got to deal with. I'm Jason. It's the I'm Not Your Lawyer show. We've been talking Tyrion. We'll do it again.